Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome you back to another episode of our Suzerain live stream Let's Play. Something that I'm going to come up with a better term for sometime in the near future, probably like 2030 or something. I apologize for that extremely delayed start. YouTube was being extremely weird, telling me I had no connection, but also giving me all green lights. Like the way the notification comes on my end is twofold. There's like a little text string that lets me know if the connection is bad or if there are any issues or dropped frames or what have you. And then there's a little circle that's either green or yellow or red. The circle was green, but the text was saying there was no connection. And I'm like, okay, well, this is freaking me out. So, you know, starting my day with a heart attack. I hope y'all are having a better start to your Fridays. Some of y'all, it's the weekend already. I hope you're having a good start to your weekends. But thank you for your patience. No, Spindle, I do not do it on purpose. I have a thing for punctuality, so it bothers me every time. It bothers me so much every time, and I just want YouTube to get its stuff together so that I don't have to think about that. It's like normally it used to be super smooth. I'd be like, all right, 1, 2, 3 clicks, everything's good, everything's green, let's go. Not so much those last, month and a half or what have you. All right, so first of all, obviously, I want to say hello to all of y'all. Jazzy B, Spindle as well, calling me out on being quote-unquote fashionably late. Sparky, Sacketh, how's it going? Natalie P, 6X Lord, Mr. Jollification, yeah, I got that right, I think. Classified, how goes? Keith Rowe, David B. I don't think I'll ever not have joy in seeing, like, Natalie P, David B, Jazzy B, like, speak back to back to back. There's just something about it. Panther and Wolf, glad you can make it, buddy. Glad you can make it. Maxime Patterson, finally the stream I was waiting for. I mean, I hope things go smoothly today. I'm a little concerned. Josue Lopez, I hope I said that correctly. How's it going? Wickles, hey. Vasil, hey, how's it going? Sagela Shukan, Ola, right back to you. Homer Gill, 2610D, Reet Rator, hey. Selling Anya. Oh, okay. I did not read selling Anya first. Is it selling Anya or is it selling ganja? And have I just been demonetized by YouTube? We'll find out together. Hannibal Ote Peterson, how's it going, man? Britton Harrison, Against the River. Haldor, glad you can make it just here in time, it seems. Ahoy, ahoy, friends and newcomers. Ahoy to you as well, Haldor. Yeah, just in time indeed. We're just about to kick things off today. Amar, how's it going? Miha, hey. Hello, friendly Canadian, making friendly community. Right back at you. Hey. Well, I mean, not the Canadian part, but, friendly community. Muhammad U3, how's it going? I think we're good to get started. Homer Gill, when's the CK3 stream? That'll be on Monday. We do it every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. That gives everybody time to catch up if they were watching VODs and stuff like that. Spindle has put down the Discord link in chat. If you join the Discord, not only will you be joining a fantastic community, but you'll also get updates to scheduling and everything like that at that Discord as well. There's a channel for everything. There's maybe there's too many channels in that Discord. But yeah, that, or you can follow me on Twitter as well. Link to that is in the description down below, though. Folks, let's not take too much more time. Let's get ready to dive on in. Again, not too sure how today's circumstances are going to be. What's really funny as we hit resume is last session. I always tweet out when I'm about to go live, and last session, I tweeted out, I'm trying to remember the exact verbiage. I tweeted out something along the lines of, let's see what catches fire today. And if you recall, there were a lot of fires, and I kept making jokes about we're burning books, we're burning flags, we're burning, et cetera, not having remembered the tweet that I sent out. So today's tweet is along the lines of let's see what goes well, or something along those lines. Now let's see if that helps, or if things continue to burn, and if this nation falls apart before I don't even know. I don't even know how quickly we're gonna get assassinated. Just asking, are you a dictator or a president in this game? You are a president in this game, though you can be tyrannical, and you can certainly behave, or so it seems. You can certainly behave like a dictator if you want to, but you are a president. Officially, that is your title. Natalie, initials, yes, you can be part of it. Part E. Oh, damn, hey, you know what? True. Didn't think about that. Hope you tweeted, let's dodge a bullet today. Oh, no, classified. Don't even jinx me like that, man. All right, what are we up to over here? So previously, again, we made... Oh man, what even, like, last session is, I'll be honest, quite a blur. I'll also be honest, I'm not at 100% today. Not feeling super, super perfect. So hopefully that doesn't affect our future as president and our lives, I suppose. But you know, presidents, they don't really get a day off, do they? So we gotta stick to it and try and make the best of our circumstances. So if I seem a little slow at times, that's why. Can you establish a dictatorship? I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, so one of the key things that happened last session, though, is that I did pay for our driver's children's education. He had just had a young boy, and his daughter was getting... I think she was still... Yeah, she was still young. And we were talking about how her education would be ideal for her to be educated at a private school, but with a new kid, like they don't know how they're going to afford everything, and so I offered to cover Serge's children's education. There were a couple of hilarious options, but that's the one we went with, and hopefully it comes back to to help us again. Dude's been pretty cool to us. He's also our driver. You want to make sure he's on your side, but I want to say that decision was minimally ulterior motives and mostly just about being a good person, trying to be a good person. Apart from that, we also had the barbecue with our son, which went, I think, pretty well. He was asking about our own dark past, time with the Civil War and the coup and all that stuff, and so we spoke about that. I think we got along pretty well. And beyond that, I think... I forget if it was last session or the session before, but just to touch on it again because it might come up this session, we did start to talk about diplomatic relations and trade deals with Agnolia and with Wellen, with some talk about Volksland as well. And there was also some tension, if I recall correctly, between Agnolia and Volksland about some issue with some ships. If I recall correctly, there was an incident between the two parties, and we of course need to be very careful who we side with and who we help and how, diplomatically speaking. We've also been making some pretty terse diplomatic statements about Roomberg as well. Again, they're making some moves, potentially being quite aggressive against us, and we've been trying to position the international community against this constitutional monarchy, I believe. This it's a constitutional. This UK allegory over here, this British allegory. Wait, underage drinking. Well, we actually don't know the drinking the drinking age in Sordland, do we? I mean, for all we know, Sordland could be a place where you're not even allowed to drink at all, but all the politicians are drinking and their kids are drinking. That's a thing. That's a thing. Looking forward to the footman. Oh man, no. God. That guy is very aggressive. Ironically, he never seems to toe the line. He just, dives over it. All right, let's do this. There's a situation at Narbel. This is where we kind of ended last session as well. We drove over to Narbel. That's when we paid for or promised to pay for Serge's kids' education. We haven't paid for it yet, but we made that promise, obviously, and our wealth was used up for that purpose. In the Codex, it is explained that the island belonged to Volksland, but was annexed by Agnolia when Volksland had a socialist revolution. Oh, hang on then. So technically then, Volksland are the good guys in this interaction with regards to the island? Huh. Well, that's good to know. I do love how detailed the Codex is. Part of me wants to just sit down and go through it all one day, and just familiarize myself with everything. But also, that feels like an entire that feels ridiculous. It gets a bit messy in a de jure sense. Annexation, bad. It's conquest is conquest. Narbel sounds like someone's pet in Star Trek. It kind of does, doesn't it? You know what? It kind of does. It sounds a little too, yeah, it sounds a little soft and cuddly. What were the, what were those little, round, fuzzy, creatures called? Oh, dear Lord. Someone who knows Star Trek, let me know. Everything is gray in this game. Some things are black and white, man. People were burning books and burning flags. I don't know about that being too gray. Codex video might be good. That's an interesting thought. I arrived at the meeting room for my talk with Ciara and Pascal. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narbel were completely covered with snow. While I was mesmerized by the scenery, Pascal Benewal walked up to me. Who are you? My Minister of Health. An author and Swordish government official who serves as the Minister of Health, Social Affairs, and Labor. Member of the USB since 42. Government career began under Alfonso. Fair enough. Served as president of the University of Volgan and Gelsord School of Medicine. He wrote 8 books. One of his bestsellers is called The Unfortunate Man, where he tells the story of a family of poverty-stricken miners. Okay. He became it doesn't tell me. Okay. He's known as a writer who depicts the struggles of Swordish life from a realistic frame, which brought him praise from the middle class and the civil rights group. All right, fair enough. I was going to say, it's like, it doesn't tell me if it talks about this poverty-stricken family in a positive light, like look at how they, survive, or in like a, in a propaganda kind of a way. Y'all know what I mean. Was the island to Agnolia way before? Volgsland used to invade everyone before the revolution. Yeah, we need to know like the history, I suppose. Tribbles, there we go. Tribbles, thank you. Yes. Troubles. Tribbles is exactly what I was thinking about. Thank you. I had the word in the tip of my tongue, and I was like, what is it? It's not nibbles, but it's something like that. I was so stuck on the N. He was elected to the Assembly in 1945, advocated for new workplace safety regulations. Okay, cool. So this is the kind of guy that we would be getting along with. Gave his support to Anton Reign in 1953, and was appointed as a minister after the elections. Yeah, he seems pretty cool. He seems pretty cool. Fair enough. My Minister of Health was, ironically, somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer, but his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. Such a spectacular view. Ciara Walda, the Minister of Education, joined us on the balcony, dressed in a sky blue pantsuit. Her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. I realized I completely cacked up that first sentence there. Spectacular indeed. But if you look at the opposite direction, you will see what Saul's decades of neglect did to the city. Most of the people living in Narbel are workers, farmers, and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. Whatever, I'd much rather be in Hallsword right now. We can't really blame the companies, that's just how they work. It's not, no. My intention is to help the working class. Ciara we've already touched on. I believe she hasn't been worthy of a note just quite yet, but I do believe we get along. Let's check over here. So, some of the, I'll be honest, there's a lot of like similar like syllables in some of these names. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm mixing a couple people up here and there. Apart from Toe Man, obviously, he stands out like a sore toe, I guess. Ciara Walda is an academician, oh god, and politician, Minister of Education, Tech, and Research, member of USB since '53. Elected and served as an independent MP. Okay, fair enough. Prior to being our minister. Aggressively promoting educational reforms and supported socialist politics. Good stuff. Philosophy, political sciences, and several major universities. She was a teacher previously. Written many academic articles, some of which were published in well-respected journals worldwide. She joined United Sordland to campaign for Anton Reign's candidacy in an effort to reform the governing body of the party. Yeah, seems like we get along pretty well as well. We have no butting heads over here. You are too gentle, leader. Hail Hydra. Oh dear. Matthew, how's it going, man? How's it going? Ask her why education is expensive. One wealth. Yeah, right. Well, I guess we just paid for 2 kids' private education, like primary education, secondary education, and then also post-secondary education. Like, that gets pretty expensive to pay for private school and then to pay for university as well, presumably, university or college, presumably also private, right? Did I keep notes on my election promises just in case you forget as we go? I did not. I suspect that previously folks have always reminded me, by the way, we've promised X. All right, my intention is to help the working class. Yes, Miha, but it's also a comic book. It's a comic book reference, or I guess a Marvel movie reference if you never read the comics. My intention is to help the working class. I'm glad we see eye to eye on the issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. Real problems like poverty. Pascal nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about himself. His best-known books were about the plight of Sordland's less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor. Well put, Miss Walda. I don't need to tell you about my own experiences with poverty. I'm sure you have too, am I right, Mr. President? So this is interesting because in the prologue, when we were like making up our like past, like developing our past, our wealth, if I recall correctly, is one of the questions. So I imagine this interaction goes a little differently based on that decision back then. We've all gone through difficult times. We knew less fortunate families, even though we belong to the middle class ourselves. Yeah, the first one seems a little like, you know, like yeah, everybody has their troubles, right? As opposed to yeah, some people's troubles are maybe worse than others. I'm gonna go with 2 here. We knew less fortunate families, even though we belong to the middle class ourselves. So you could at least feel what the plight of these people are. You don't have to have been born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Sordland's need for parity among the sexes. Ciara's tone got serious. You mean it wasn't already? Isn't it time Holsword addressed these issues? Rather than bowing to the wishes of the hawks and fearmongers in the establishment and diverting yet more resources to the military and law enforcement? That's another thing that happened last session. Our Chief Justice walked in with another one of his justice buddies and basically threatened us and our presidency and insisted this like wild conspiracy theory, not just one, but like 4 or 5 conspiracy theories back to back about the leader of the PFJP, which is the reformists, sort of like being entirely under foreign influence. He went to all these like conferences and stuff in private, like all sorts of like stuff to like basically force a state of emergency on the nation. That's the other big thing that happened last session. I was like, I know it was something massive, and this is what reminded me. Yes, the hawks and fearmongers, they were out in full force last session. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Our welfare, healthcare, and education systems have been decaying since the recession. Sordland's poorer communities are losing hope. Hopelessness and a lack of opportunities can drive people to extreme solutions. We're seeing increased crime, domestic violence, rising inequality between men and women. Well, Liz Graff will take care of crime since she is an expert on this subject. Those issues must be tackled from different directions. We need to engage it holistically. If only we can stop the recession, create jobs and growth, or the capital must be prioritized towards the resources that matter the most. Ooh, these are all... These are all, true to different degrees, you know what I mean? Crazy Town, you yelled at them. Yeah, I did at one point. I just let them keep talking. I basically let them keep digging their own grave, and then told them to shut up and get out. God, they were rude from start to finish. For a nation with traditional gender roles, the government sure has a lot of women as ministers, though. So I guess people are not that sexist. Yeah, it's a strange, because I know what they're going for, obviously, given like the setting of the game. It's like 50s, late 50s, right? So we're like at the cusp of some very major feminist movements and stuff. Now I don't know internationally what ratios were like globally in terms of women ministers versus not. I get what you're trying to say, though. I get what you're trying to say. It's just like, but at the same time, when you have a population of however many, like, I don't know, I can't, what is our population? There's nothing for me to quickly click on. But you can't look at a few success stories and then use that to, like, make a blanket statement. Like, no, look, it's fine. You got a couple of women in charge here and there. It's fine. Like, you know what I mean? So it is a difficult thing to like strike that balance. I think. Those issues, I was thinking 2 as well. Yeah, 3 and 2, I'm seeing people suggest in chat. 3, if we can only stop the recession, create jobs and growth. Those issues must be... I feel like 2 includes that conversation and more, because I do think these are all problems that come from a variety of circumstances, from, you know, poor education to a lack of jobs to, you know, this, that, and the other thing. I feel like a holistic approach is the way to go there. So let's go with number 2. You feel like 2 is sort of a non-statement, I guess. Like, so 1 is definitely like somebody else will deal with it. 4 is also like, I don't care about these things. So 1 and 4 are not options. 3 to me seems almost like a little like, I don't want to say naive, but almost a little like, oh, we just need to focus on this one thing and then everything will be okay. You know, like, it seems a little like that, which is why I like the holistic approach. I'm planning to help by using an increased budget to improve the quality of healthcare. That could prove useful, but we need to be doing a lot more. Education has similar issues. There's another subject I want to mention. I've been working on improving the rights of workers in our country and have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Mr. Clavin has already backed me and gave his support. Sordland has fallen behind most countries on this subject, and it is my responsibility to ensure this is not the case. Okay, I agree, we need to improve the standards for our workers. There's always room for improvement. It's good to hear that you're pushing for it. We shouldn't upset the businesses. I'm not even going to read that to completion. The bill will be costly, and I'm not sure if it will be a priority between all the other stuff. No. Definitely, workers' rights is, I would say pretty important. I'm definitely the opposite of that. I think we do need to improve the standards for our workers. I mean, we've kind of been given this very desolate picture of how these folks are treated and what kind of a situation they kind of work through. Always room for improvement also sounds kind of dismissive. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I agree. We need to improve the standards for our workers. I'm gonna go with I agree. I see some 2s and 4s in chat, but I feel like, well, 4, I don't know. That feels so like, yeah, that feels too like negative for the kind of conversation we're having. I don't want to shut this guy down because I do agree with him. So I think I'm gonna go with 1 actually. I agree. We need to improve the standards for our workers. Work as a unit. Exactly. Sordland must provide for its own people to move forward. Yeah, exactly, Panther Wolf. I felt that way. So like 2 sounded like it isn't so bad. Like, it's fine. It also is a matter of life and death. Every decade we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. So, would you back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President? I mean, I gotta read it first. Yeah, to make a decision, I would need to evaluate the contents in detail. That's just the 100% true and honest statement. Yeah. I need to know. I'm not just going to promise to sign a bill that I don't know what the contents are. Understandable. You will receive all the sections in an outline. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussions. We headed back inside. The meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed on the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Isn't that like, shouldn't you not be doing that? Happens all the time, but shouldn't you not be doing that? Let's start with your health overview, Pascal, since he approached me first, so let's go ahead and do that. As you wish, Mr. President. Oh, so you're one of those boring guys who reads contracts before signing them? I assume is what you meant to say. Yeah. Yeah, I am. Hell yeah, God. Sordland has a free healthcare system except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to a lack of quality services. So I don't quite necessarily mind that kind of a setup per se. A few private hospitals, largely a free healthcare system. Hopefully we can improve quality rather than necessarily make it entirely public. Like, I'd be okay with that. I'm doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best health care they can. I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem. Alright, alright. Selling Anya just constantly putting down number 4. Let's help everyone, yet everyone is expected to give us stuff. When you say us, do you give us stuff, do you mean pay taxes? 8. Alright, let's see. How many doctors and nurses are employed? How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? That's a very exact question. What's the life expectancy and mortality rates? Well, let's talk about 3 first, because it feels like a more natural segue. Oh, the gifts. I mean, I feel like that kind of gifting is yeah, it's like, you know, bribery in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's weird. Alright, what's life expectancy and mortality rates? Our life expectancy is 65 years, and the infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 births, while our maternal mortality is at 90 per 1,000. Holy crap. Oh, lobbying, yeah, God, don't get me, don't get me started. But these are political figures giving us gifts. Is that still also? I guess that is still also lobbying. Yeah, it's the same thing. Typically, I associate the word lobbying with like private entities, like what you know, Tusk and all those guys were doing. Also, I see something that might potentially be spoilers in chat. Please don't tell me potential endgame scenarios or how decisions play out or anything like that, because I have not played the game through to the finish. Because I wanted to like experience it together on stream and stuff, so please try and avoid spoilers in chat. Be assured that we are doing everything we can to save mothers and their newborns. Those numbers are saddening indeed. Yeah, those numbers are pretty ridiculous. I agree, we must do everything we can, or I expect nothing but your best efforts to improve the situation. It's a very us versus you guys is the difference I'm seeing here. So I'm going to say we must do everything we can. We're working very hard on improving the quality of the services. Very well, very well. How many doctors and nurses? Thank you. Your in-depth briefing is much appreciated. Just like, yeah, okay, I'm done talking about this. Moving on. No. How many doctors and nurses are employed? We have 31,594 doctors. So, yeah, of course. I'm so used to seeing it as a comma, obviously. Classified coming through with that super chat nice and early in today's stream. Thank you very much, buddy, again for the support. Just remember this key phrase. It's for the kids. I will set that super chat aside, and eventually, when I become a dad, I will buy them their first beer with it or something. Thanks, Classified. Seriously though, it really helps the channel a lot. Really supports the channel a lot. Really supports the live streams a lot. Greatly appreciate it, man. Natalie P. Dude, round. I know, like, round these numbers. Round them, like, we have approximately 31,600 doctors and approximately 73,700 nurses, right? But anyway, we have these precise numbers of doctors and nurses working for the Ministry of Health. This is a high number. What I think is, I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and rural areas? Ah, there we go. There we go. Good point, Sarah. Pascal? Oh no, I like this as well. Cause like, yo, Sarah, let the man speak. Like, let him finish. Oh, damn it. It's a simple decision sometimes. They tear me apart. It's like, she's got a great point, and I do want to know, because that could be very indicative of the problem. But also, yo, don't interrupt each other. Welcome to your first dilemma. Yeah, this is a serious dilemma. At least your staff is detail-oriented. Always a good trait. I mean, that's a good point, yeah. I want decimal places. Do we have any, like, half doctors? Any half nurses? Let's not interrupt each other. Gotta be polite to each other. Let's not interrupt each other, please. That's not a problem. The number of doctors per 10,000 citizens is far lower in rural areas compared to urban areas. Yeah, no surprise there. Treatment time is still too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which get barely any proper coverage. Okay, how many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? And please don't be so precise. There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparison with other neighbors. We see a lower number in the countries of Agnolia and Welland, but obviously can't match Lesbia or Volksland. Well, don't compare with our worst neighbors, compare with our better neighbors. Who yells better is the one who is heard. Isn't that how, like, isn't that how some parliaments around the world actually work, though? First beer. I mean, no, I can wait until the child is of legal drinking age and then buy them their beer. I'm not gonna. What? I didn't suggest I'm gonna buy them their first beer, you know, straight out like right away. You know, wait until they're legal drinking age. God. 10 per 10,000. No, it's 10 per 10,000. That doesn't sound like a very good number, does it? I don't know what's normal. I don't know what's I don't know what a decent ratio actually is. Agnolia and Welland are hardly countries to take as a standard, but it's good to know we aren't in a huge health crisis yet. Wow, alright, Sierra and I, we see eye to eye. Immediately my thought as well was like, don't compare to our crappy neighbors, especially Welland. Like, we know these guys are like barely a state. They're barely a nation, so don't compare us to them. Thank you, Pascal. Your in-depth briefing is much appreciated. Abolish the drinking age. I mean, a lot of places are like, yeah, if the parents let the child drink, then so be it, I think. 10 per 10,000, you don't need to write it out. Oh, that's a good point, Natalie. Yeah, that's... Yeah, he flipped from using, like, numerals to using words. There's a rule for that, isn't there? For how you, when you choose to do numerals versus the words. I want to hear about the education system. Yeah, 1,000 beds in a city of 1 million. That doesn't sound very good at all. Per 10k citizens, not just 6 citizens. But what happens if, like, say, a pandemic comes, you know, waltzing through your nation? Then what? Lakshapathy, what did you miss? You missed our conversation, well, the recap and then our conversation kicking off about the balance between education and healthcare in the nation. Job, how's it going, man? Do not spam. I remember your name. You're still very much pre-warned, so if you spam, I'm gonna time you out right away. I have zero hesitation. Just a heads up. Education breeds success. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? If we take care of education, I feel like that'll help solve a lot of issues, including the number of doctors and nurses and stuff like that. Canada has 20 beds per 10k in real life. For comparison, oh wow, that's interesting to know. Oh, it's between 20 and 25, it looks like? Okay, interesting. That really puts things into perspective, having a real-world example. So I guess we're not that, like... Well, I mean, half as much is a pretty big difference, but I guess we're not terribly off. Okay, I want to hear about the education system. With pleasure. Swordish education is free, but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. Okay. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our educational system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. Okay, tell me the difference between urban and rural education. That seems to be most, like, natural, a next step in this conversation. They don't need to learn maths, but they certainly can stand for a communication class. Oh, God. Oh, dear. I mean, at least, what's-his-face can? Pascal. It's kind of... With a name like Pascal, I would expect him to be, you know, the Minister of Education. Either way, I expect him to apply some good pressure, at least. Tell me about the difference between urban and rural education. I saw some questions in chat, actually, really quickly. Sorry. Pandemics never happen. They only happen in Hollywood movies. Okay, those were the question marks I saw. No, okay, so they don't. Have I played Fantasy General 2? That's what I saw earlier. I have not. Would love to see a Let's Play from you. I'll check it out. I have had my eyes on it previously. I'll give it another look. Womb beers, dear lord. Sorry. It's not about the difference between urban and rural education. All right. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from a lack of teachers. I can imagine teachers not preferring desolate areas. That's not a very good. Yeah, that's not a very good. I totally can imagine teachers not preferring desolate areas, but it's also not a very good ratio. More importantly, it's not a very good ratio. Situation is worse than expected. This is one of the most important problems we face, if not the most important. A huge part of the population is forgotten in terms of welfare. How many students and teachers do we have? What is the literacy rate? Thank you for. Yeah, I can fill in the blanks from here. Is that a reference to like the types of quizzes we do in our schools? What is the literacy rate? The literacy rate of Sordland is at 80%. This is a very good indicator for future growth, but it needs to increase. It's also far lower among girls than boys. If I remember correctly, the most illiterate areas are Bergia and Agneland. So Bergia is the place that borders Welland, and that's where we also have the Blutish people, like, sort of largely concentrated. And Agneland is that northern part next to Agnolia, where we are currently building the highway to, and it's been neglected for multiple cycles of governance, so to speak. So hopefully, we're able to help both of these places out. Yeah, pay better in rural areas. That's the thing. You kind of like have to incentivize working in the less ideal conditions and whatnot. The highest USA state is 48 beds and the lowest is 16. What's the average though? You can't go per state for America and then do Canada as one full country, because like the majority of Canadian population is like centered around like certain provinces. So I'd be curious to know sort of an equal point of comparison. Low education in separatist groups seems like a breeding ground for problems. Yeah, I mean, poor education I think is a core source of a lot of issues, right? Poor education, one way or another, whether it's the subject matter or the just quantity or reach of it, that can cause all the problems. Okay, that is correct. Although Lack Haven skews the statistics for the Nargis region, which also has a vast number of illiterate citizens. This underlines my point about the lack of access to education. Okay, how many students and teachers do we have? Currently, there are about 5 million students, 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. Never heard it referred to as tertiary education. Is that different from post-secondary? There are 155,316 teachers precisely. Very well. Very well. Sordland is full of young and bright minds. We should keep striving to make education available for all. Yeah. I think there needs to be a change in the way of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. Thank you, Sarah. I can fill in the blanks from here. 80% literacy seems pretty good, but we have just one budget. We could go into debt also. Yeah, I feel like education is pretty important. We'll see. We'll see what decision comes up and how it's kind of positioned. 5 million students. How big is the entire population? We'll check after this conversation. Just to remind me. You've heard it as tertiary almost exclusively. It might be. It might be an entirely regional thing, right? I've always heard it as post-secondary. Yeah, post-secondary. Doing the budget is easy. Literally every minister has good reasons for needing increases. Yeah, exactly. Just give everybody money. Well, that's where I don't want to go into too much of a deficit because I don't know what happens. I know you can go into like negatives, but I don't know what the end result is. And don't tell me. But I just want to be very cognizant of that situation. We are in a recession after all. You must be precise with the president, of course. He is the smartest one in the country. I don't know. I believe that is everything. Sarah stood up and moved towards the window. She took a deep breath. What is it, Sarah? Look at this impoverished city. The streets full of potholes, the hospital barely functioning, the school half open. This is not just about Saul or even Alfonso failing. This decay in Sordland's forgotten regions has been going on for many decades due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism. Ooh. Okay. We're here to change that trend and to provide for the people is where I'm leaning. Or I could hear what Pascal has to say. You know what? As president, I think it's a good idea to hear from everybody. Sure. If you go into debt, you get shot. Like in that drug kingpin game. Oh my god, man. That escalated so quickly in that game. So quickly. Alright, Pascal, what do you have to say about this? Sir, there's not much to be said. I agree with Sierra, but it is also Gus Manger's job to improve these areas. Who is this man? He is our Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development since 1949. Okay, a successful businessman. Oh, okay, well, I'm sure he has his biases. Famed for the successful agricultural policies and credited for the long-awaited development of the rural region of Sordland as minister during Alfonso's presidency. Okay, prior to that, he also worked as the advisor for the Minister of Economy. So he has done good things. I mean, just because he's a businessman doesn't mean he's necessarily, problematic. But, as a businessman, he obviously has certain preferences in terms of what he needs out of a situation. So have his agricultural policies and rural development been, what have they been for? What does he prioritize? I suppose we need to ask ourselves that. Got into -5 debt once. Oh dear Lord. I'd be terrified to do that. It's the responsibility of each and every one of us. Exactly. That's kind of what I was also thinking, is just like, well, it's not one man's job. It's his job to know the most, but we need to kind of work together to know. David, how's it going? Hey. Sierra sat back down inside. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for the people. Well, tell me more about your plans, Sierra. My plans require an increase in the government budget. I aim to solve the problems we highlighted with the allocated money. By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas and through fundamental changes to the education system, I will unlock the potential of all our children, boys and girls alike. Okay. Our election mandate was to improve education. We will deliver on this. So there you go, Jazzy B. I think it was you that were mentioning earlier, like, oh, have I noted down our promises? I haven't, but usually it is phrased in that kind of a way. I thought we had a quality of service problem. Isn't Swedish education lacking in quality? I mean, yeah, we know that it's not just quality, though. It's also the spread of it. Our election mandate was to improve education. We will deliver on this. Ale suggests 3. I'm curious for the justification there, because we know the problem isn't just quality. We know it's also a matter of the spread between rural and urban. An average of 22 beds per 10 in the US. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so similar. Similar between Canada and the US. Yeah, 2 beds per 10K difference. What did you miss, David? We're just having a conversation with our Minister of Education and our Minister of Health with regards to, well, the education and health circumstances in our glorious nation, as it were. Improving the situation in rural areas is indeed a good idea. Our election was seeing some leanings towards 1 as well. Germany has 80 per 10,000. God damn. That's a significant jump. Thinking of buying it, Paul? Are you talking about thinking of buying Suzerain? Does each playthrough in this game play out the same way? From what I've seen so far, and I haven't played it to finish, but from what I've seen so far, the smallest of decisions can have wildly different results, so I imagine not. It looks like you've got an answer from someone in chat, though, so I can definitely highly recommend this game. Oh, for sure, I think 2 encompasses 1. But I can say 1. I mean, 2 is implied, I suppose, so I can say 1. I don't think there's anything wrong there. Improving the situation in rural areas is indeed a good idea. Yes. I just wanted to make sure I was covering everything she was saying. Sure. Also, the healthcare. We also have military threats and law enforcement. Oh, I mean, yeah, but everything's a problem, right, Sant? Like, everything's a problem. We're going to be going into a bit of a deficit, I'm sure. I'm sure. The investment would be the future of Sordland. Imagine the untapped potential of the youth unlocked, the knowledge and wealth they will generate. Wouldn't a promotion of private education help create additional funds? Yes, but at what cost? I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education, because at the end of the day, they're focused on profit first. Well, what are you working towards, Pascal? He's going to ask me for some money as well. The thing is, like, what I'm... oh, for sure, Paul. And if you have any more questions, feel free. Throw them my way. I'm always happy to keep an eye on chat about, well, anything, really. Okay, so this is... I know what's going to happen here, right? Like, I don't know, but I know, right? He's going to ask me for money as well. They're both going to ask me for money, and it's going to be like, do you want to spend money on both, one or the other? Now, as Sant was mentioning earlier as well, we've got law enforcement issues. We've got a military situation developing to our north, which we might want to save money for as well. Do we need to invest in education and healthcare at the same time is the question I'm going to throw out there as we go forward in this conversation, because I feel like that's what's coming up. I feel like they're going to be like, okay, where does the money go? I'm leaning towards education. Why am I leaning towards education? I'm leaning towards education because I feel like that secures, as Sierra has said as well, secures the future of Sordland. It uplifts rural communities. And through education, you can solve a lot of problems, including access to healthcare. You know, by virtue of, like, if more children are exposed to the idea and opportunity of becoming doctors and nurses and you know, studying the medical sciences and whatnot and the life sciences, then they are more likely to fall. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm leaning towards. You can also give money to both ministries. Oh, totally, Maxime. But I'm wondering, because almost certainly, eventually, inevitably, we're going to be dealing with rougher tensions to the north. And I wonder if I should have some budget set aside before we go into a deficit. If I should have some budget set aside to thwart that if our diplomatic approach doesn't work. That's my concern with that, Maxime, giving too much money right here, right now. How do you educate high death rates in births? Well, I mean, no, that's definitely an equipment problem. There's like, that's the thing. It's just like, there's, I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. Better education, in theory only, in my head at least, can uplift a lot of aspects of society, which can bring in better wealth, better tech, better, you know, everything, which can, as a result, then, you know, help avoid that infant mortality rate and the what's it called when, like, when what's the rate called, like the birth mortality rate, like when the mother passes away during childbirth? Like, is there like a term for that? Education also creates more qualified workforce, so it should improve economy in some point. That's what I was thinking as well. It's just like, you know, does that help us have more money? And with that money, can we then help healthcare better? Because, and this is going to sound very dark, and I apologize for that in advance. Oh God, this is going to sound very dark. If our healthcare is fantastic, then we have more people without access to education. Oh, it feels terrible saying it that way, but you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean, hopefully. If people are better educated, they can access higher skilled jobs, gives them the opportunity to solve their own problems. Well, not just that, but also, like, it can result in, like I was saying earlier, more doctors and nurses and stuff like that. Thing now will be, we make education a state-only thing, or we privatize the higher schools. Having a mixed system will be beneficial, and making a state-only seems authoritarian. No, state-only isn't authoritarian. It depends on what you're teaching. Like, I mean, we've got, like, Canada has private schools as well as public schools, but, like, I mean, we've our private schools can be a little. The joke here is that you can buy your grades in private school in Canada. I don't know how true that is, mind you, but like that's like the running joke. But I've been in places where private schools are, you know, better than public schools. It's a tough balance. I mean, I'm all good with a mixed system for sure, but I want to make sure that we have a universal syllabus, at least, or curriculum. Sorry, valid. More people alive to be educated. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of morbid, but you know what I'm getting at, though. You can culture the young minds with education. Yeah, like education is so important. Don't teach farmers. Why? Everybody has a right to education. What are you working towards, Pascal? Let's see what he has to say before we jump to conclusions about what he might say, I suppose. Imagine if you have better education, soon your economy will improve and you will need more cheap labor. Yeah, that's what I think. It's like, I think education goes a very long way either. So it's a tough balance, though. I mean, healthcare, it doesn't matter how smart you are if you're dead, right? But if you're alive and you haven't been enabled to... it's tough. I personally want to improve the low quality of healthcare in the rural areas. So I created draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and to upgrade the equipment of the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget. Additionally, a privatization plan to promote private investments in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds. I've also been in mixed healthcare systems. I've seen entirely public healthcare, and I've seen mixed healthcare as well. Isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue? He didn't address that in his statements over here. By decreasing birth mortality rates, you will hamper population growth. By decreasing birth mortality rates, we will encourage population growth, though. Is what you mean, I think. There's plenty of cheap workers in Welland and Agnolia, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, but we also will have workers' rights, right? So they're only as cheap as minimum wage. Only as cheap as minimum wage. Farmers benefit from education. I mean, everybody benefits from education. Everybody should have access to education. Doesn't matter, you know, your walk in life, in my humble opinion, at least. Because even if you want to stay as a no matter what you want to do afterwards, at least a basic education is helpful in all walks of life. Given that you're taught the right things, obviously. Okay, so isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue? We're starting to get into some really broad conversations over here. Yeah, no worries, Ale. I figured you meant it the other way around. I figured what you meant there. No worries. Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in these areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment causes bad treatment, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competition and increase the quality of healthcare with a privatization effort. Oh, so he's actually partial to privatization. A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. Besides, I believe we have decided to promote a more planned economy. We have, yeah. My expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. We are elected representatives of our people, and we will prioritize their needs. There are other significant issues that we need to focus on, like security. I appreciate your briefings and plans. We will reconvene at the budget meeting. Or Minister Walda, I have bailed out people in need instead of business. Trust me, my priorities are correct. Number 4 makes sense if we read her tone over here a little aggressive. Like, is she saying, like, you know, so okay, the two ways that we could read this is, my expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. That's way number 1. Way number 2 is, my expectation from the government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. You know, like with that sarcastic tone, right? Like the hey, wagging my finger tone. And if she's wagging her finger at us, then number 4 is the way to go. Yeah, education is a slow burn for sure. What is better, quality or quantity? Quality. Well, Well, depend. There's a balance. There's a balance that needs to be struck. Uneducated masses need guns to expand. Oh dear lord. If more people get educated, that gives you so many professionals to solve numerous issues the nation is facing. Yeah, reconvene at a budget meeting sounds like a tactical retreat. I think so. I think 3 might be the way I go over here. I feel like I've given everybody the benefit of the doubt 9 times out of 10. Tactical relocation, yeah. One of my issues with the game during the first playthrough is that which options are available to you are not clear. How do you mean? How do you mean exactly, Maxime? All right, let's go ahead and say I appreciate your briefings and plans. We'll reconvene at the budget meeting. Let's not like villainize her. The Prime Minister won't be threatened by a simple minister. President. But yes. Unless they're literally putting a gun to our head, which I feel like some of them might. Quantity gives everyone the basis to seek education in everyday life, i.e. literacy. It also depends on what you mean by quality, right? It's a tough conversation to have with regards to education, especially quantity versus quality. It's such a tough, like, what does quality imply? Does it matter if 1,000 people are learning nothing? No, they might as well not be at school then, right? See you at the meeting. I hope to see a change in direction. Oh, she was wagging her finger. Man, Sierra, listen. Don't do it. I think we covered all necessary subjects. Thank you again for your time. I do hope we won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. The ministers left, and I attended other official business in the city. The weather was relatively cold, but it didn't keep a group of USP supporters to come out and cheer at us on the streets. Excellent. Just by looking at the citizens' attire, it was easy to understand the current state of Norval. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large. Some kids did not even have shoes. Yet, there was hope in their eyes. They were excited to see their president in their city. It must feel good to feel like someone's finally paying attention to you. Check your national spirits. You have socialist... Oh, you have solist education. That means indoctrination in school. Yeah, we have to change that for sure. That's been mentioned to us. We have to change that. Now, we were asked what our population is in Sordland. The Republic of Sordland. Do we not have like a quick... Because I can click on other people's flags to get a quick read. I don't think we have... If anybody in chat knows where I can get a quick look at our total population, let me know. Because I would like to know. She's right about the poor quality of education. It's not as serious as she makes it out to be. Indoctrination, sexism aside, they're still learning valuable information. I mean, yeah, but indoctrination and sexism are, you know, big things to, like, mash out, I guess. And then also, again, the reach in rural areas, I think, is the bigger problem. I don't know. We'll see what else she has to say down the line, I suppose. What's going on over here from Estord? Young Swords member found decapitated. Oh, Lord. Oh, dear. Things are escalating, I guess. I'm like, is this an escalation or is this status quo at this point? The Estord Police Department has found a decapitated body in an abandoned house where the victim was later identified as Kurg Linke, a high school teacher and member of the local Young Swords Cultural Center. So this is what I mean when it comes to education, quantity, quality, etc., etc. We have a high school teacher who is the member of the Young Swords, a right-wing nationalist political organization, right? I think that's exactly what she was touching on as well, Sierra, about like the indoctrination that's happening, and oof. The victim was discovered to be tortured with hot iron rods before his tongue was cut off. Police suspect the Red Youth are responsible for the incident. The incident has not yet been made public. Yeah, it's horrendous. I mean, again, we've been speaking against this kind of political violence since day 0, right? But it continues. It persists. Now what's happening at Morble over here? Morble mine disaster. Oh no. A coal mine has collapsed in Morble. Emergency response teams were dispatched immediately. Due to the sheer size of the disaster, additional manpower and supplies were requested from nearby cities. Initial investigation shows that an underground fire has started due to the neglect in working situations by the Nadam mining group. Current death toll is at 82 and counting. One of the largest state-owned mining corporations in East Maricopa. Oh man, you can't be state-owned and have these kinds of situations. Poor working situations, poor working conditions. We need to, why is, you're state-owned. You need to, oh dear Lord. I'd say going from shootings to torture and decapitation is an escalation. I guess decapitation certainly has a certain symbolism to it. I suppose, yeah. Are teachers not allowed to have political opinions? Political opinions, yes, but the Young Swords have been... there's a difference between a political opinion and I guess being part of an organization that partakes in assassinations and that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Opinions or violent extremism, they're different, right? So it's like, I get what you're saying though. Of course teachers are allowed to have their political opinions. I mean, of course they're allowed to have their opinions. They are people as well, etc., etc. But like, the Young Swords and the Red Youth, just to be clear, they are not simply opinions. They're going around shooting each other, setting flags on fire, burning books, decapitating people, start boot camps for kids. Oh lord. Next thing you know, they'll be carving runes into bodies. Yeah, exactly. They're problematic organizations. State-owned is where you would expect inefficiency and bad working conditions due to corruption. I suppose it's corruption, but like, state-owned is also where I would expect. Yeah, they're not profit-driven. and when you're a private corporation, I'm not saying everybody does this, but there's an incentive, there's a profit incentive, there's board members who are like looking at like cutting corners to make a profit at every potential opportunity. You know, employees are just a bottom line at the end of the day. Like there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff on both sides of the conversation. I think that's what I like about this game so much, is that like there isn't really a right answer. Sometimes there is, unless you want to play like a particular type of character, right? But it's difficult to have a correct answer given the circumstances you're presented more often than not. Kisaro Kibner, leader of NFP, has announced today that the NFP is completely against any threshold reform. He specifically emphasized that this would lead to unwanted elements entering the assembly, and that he's outright against any changes to the 10% threshold. So the NFP is the National Front Party, or nationalist, ultra-conservative party over here, and he's referencing the threshold to get into Parliament, to have a seat on Parliament. Yeah, let's not start that slippery slope, true. Let's step away from that conversation before it spirals. Complaining about the numbers just seems trivial now. Sorry, which numbers, Natalie? We don't have the budget to increase the industries. We need to privatize some state companies to get more budget. I mean... Just raise the taxes. Is that's a great option. Just tax these multimillionaires and billionaires more. Use that as the government budget, as opposed to give them more money. When the NFP is against you, you know you've done something right. What else do we have? A workers' rights bill nears completion. All right, the Workers' Rights Act of 1954, proposed by Albin Clavin and supported by Minister of Health Pascal Benawal, is being prepared for the first draft review. Voices from the labor union showed strong signs of support. A session dedicated to the bill in the Assembly proved contentious. The people that form the backbone of the Swedish economy will finally be fully protected by extensive laws, Katarina Horton said, receiving both cheers and boos. Fair enough. Ban youth organizations in order to stop the operations of youth organizations with potential links to instability. Oh. Ho 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 ho. There's a Steam achievement for allying the NFP. Not privatized entirely, just a balance. No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, like a mixed economy approach. Sorry, I didn't mean to come across implying that it's like, no. Yeah, tax everyone, but obviously, you know, there's the, what's it called? Like the, oh my god. There's a term for it. Different categories for different, oh, you know what I'm talking about. Ban both is what I'm thinking. Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna be one or the other. And they definitely need banning. Now, it might fuel the flames a little bit, but I'm going to be banning both, I think. An investigation on the influence of the Young Swords and Red Youth organizations on the post-assassination unrest has concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized or called for illegal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have links to insightful actions that led to deaths, injuries, and instability. This allows us to ban the organizations. Now, Paul, I don't know if you're still in chat, but this is an excellent example of how, like, we're basically still in, like, the first half of the game. And this decision, I'm sure, can have some very varied results moving forward. I say I'm sure. I mean, as in, like, I assume. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure, but this is the kind of thing that happens often in the game. So, there's an example. I wouldn't ban them. It's anti-democratic, but if you ban, better ban both, okay? Both extremists, ban both. I'm just looking at you. Don't ban. This might end in another civil war. Just an idea. Those kids from before don't have shoes and don't go to school. So there's a demand for shoes there, and they have cheap labor. Offer Nike tax incentives for a factory? Oh, Lord. Don't ban. All or none. Oh, interesting. I would... In my head, it's just like, okay, so this could go terribly wrong if we ban them both. Then we are, again, it can be spun as like, oh look, the government is preventing political organizations that are entirely peaceful because, you know, they technically haven't been proven to do anything illegal at the top level, though we know there are links to inciting actions at mid and low levels. So banning both could make people upset. Not banning both, oh dear, like they keep doing what they're doing, which is both like it's difficult because so the game has painted both of them as bad through and through, from start to finish, from start to now rather. They've both been involved in violence. We have not been exposed to any like positive aspects of these two organizations. You know what I mean? I will not ban only one of them, no. I will not ban only one of them. It's either ban both or ban neither. And you know what? I think it's time, since we are a democracy here, it's time for me to get the opinions of my parliament, I suppose. A couple of conversations. Where is my poll? There it is. Who are we banning is the question, and the options are either both or neither. Because I'm not picking one or the other. To me, that's a problem. That's picking sides. They've both been involved in violence. They're both worth banning, or they're both not going to be banned. So let's go ahead and kick that poll off. Just as a reminder of the format, make sure you type in the exclamation mark, the word vote, put a space, and then you put in the number. So that format that I've thrown up there, folks, make sure you vote in that format, because otherwise it's not going to get counted. There we go. Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody had their votes coming in. So again, it's either both. Typing in 0 is both. Typing in 1 is neither. While y'all vote, I will take a quick drink of water because I am losing my voice. Hannibal, no parentheses. Without the parentheses. And David, again, make sure you got that exclamation mark, vote, space, and then the number. Just keeping an eye to make sure, again, as many votes as I catch not being counted get counted. So yeah, Hannibal and David, make sure you use that right format there. Vote 69. Turn away, take a sip of water, look back at the screen, vote 69, of course. I wish I could set the numbers custom. Vote 69 for ban both, vote 420 for ban neither. I don't know. It's a pretty close it's a pretty close back and forth, actually. I'm gonna give you all another like 10 or 15 seconds. I'm not gonna count down because of latency, obviously, as I realized two sessions ago or so. But I'm going to give it another like 10 or 15 seconds just to make sure everybody gets their votes in before we rush to a decision. Because it is closer than I would have expected, I guess. Vote 161. Now I've got... Every time... I've got 369 stuck in my head now. And so now I have Get Low stuck in my head. And that song's going to play through the rest of my presidency, isn't it? I have a weird feeling that we just did something useless. I don't know about useless. Just concerned that banning both will basically earn you 2 enemies that hate you. Fair. Very possible. And it looks like that might actually be what's happening. The vote says we ban both. And so we ban both. They'll still be operating just underground. I mean... Yeah, but I guess at least it would enable our police to, or I should say our like security forces, not just police, but all of our security forces to you know, treat them a certain way. Yeah, Natalie, you know the downward spiral. How many votes for neither? Yeah, it was 14-6. Both got 14 votes, neither got 6. And it was like at 12 for a while until the 2 for both came in at the end there. Curious to see what's gonna happen now. Yeah, me too. Because yeah, it's very possible that I just earned myself 2 enemies. I was already gonna earn 1 because of my policies, I'm sure, but I'm almost guaranteeing 2 now. So ban the Red Youth and the Young Swords. There it is. Seems like you're slowly turning into Truck and Sol. I hope not. Finish your 80% summative? Oh dear. Good luck. I hope it went well. What's up? Oh, Excuse me, not much, just countries falling apart. Same old, same old. Every day there's reports of one member of these groups committing some atrocities. Only so much people can put up with. That's the other thing as well. It's just like daily, it's not just one. It's like 30 things going on. I don't know. I feel like it also puts our foot down and like, listen, the bad apple spoils the bunch, right? And they got a lot of bad apples, and so I cannot trust the bunch. And just to clarify, this actually came up in conversation recently with a couple people as well. Bad apple spoils the bunch. A lot of the time that reference is misunderstood to be that one bad apple makes everybody look bad. That's not what that means. What it means is one bad apple ruins all the apples. It's literally what happens in a barrel of apples. When fruit ripen, they let off a gas. I forget now. Is it ethylene? I forget now. They let off a gas, and that gas helps fruit ripen. So when one fruit ripens and it lets off this gas, the fruits next to it start ripening faster. And so eventually, when the more ripe they are, the more of this gas they let out. So when you eventually have an overripe apple, it's letting off so much gas that it accelerates the over-ripening of all the other apples. So one bad apple spoils the bunch. It ruins everything. Not, oh, we can ignore the bad apples. No. One bad apple ruins everything. That's what it is. And so you know what? They all rot. Exactly. Clamping down on violence rather than turning a blind eye out of fear of upsetting extremists can't be a bad thing. Also that, exactly. Alright, let's see what the newspapers have to say. So we've got the Hallsword Post and Lackhaven Times. Nothing from, I thought I saw Sordland the Blutish. Did he? I don't think he banned the Blue. Also the Bloods are different from the Bloods are a people. Like the Bloods are like an ethnicity. The communists and nationalists, those are political identities, not cultural or anything like that. All right, let's see. Administration announces ban on young swords and red youth. Effective immediately, the administration has announced a ban on the anti-government organizations, young swords, and red youth as a response to the recently escalated political tensions. The ban also states that it is strictly illegal and forbidden to carry symbols, clothing, and anything that can cause a person to be identified as a young sword or a red youth member. Any persons who do not abide by the new law will be risking an at least 2-year sentence depending on the severity of the crime. NFP leader Kezaro Kibner and PFJP leader Franz Richter have strongly opposed the ban. Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Well, of course they both opposed the ban because I wouldn't be surprised if to a degree they were satisfied with what was going on there. Bloods are good and wrongly mistreated. Yeah, they get the short end of the stick. For sure. Wickles. You just shot the barrel instead of removing the bad apples, though. I assume the entire barrel is already bad, so dump the barrel in the river. Stop allowing these barrels to enter our country. Two evils uniting to fight the good. Yeah, 2-year sentence. Damn. I was expecting community service and like a heavy fine. That's an actual sentence. Watch, the next big event is going to be like, yeah, we need more funding for our prisons. The youth groups were their front for creating chaos. I mean, that's exactly what I read this as. It's like, I'm sure that they had, their own self-interest being served by these two youth groups in both ways, both with and without violence. Lackhaven Times. Also, I feel like, yeah, if those youth groups continue to operate and cause chaos, they could point to that as my failing when it came time for election. But the barrel has puppies. Well, save the puppies, of course. Puppies don't rot. Oh God, don't. Let's not talk. Puppies don't rot. That's the line I'm sticking with. I just noticed something. We need the PFJP, I think, to pass our reforms. I think they'll happily pass the reforms with us, even if they hate us, because they want the reforms. Unless you mean the Nationalist Party. Those guys will never be okay with our reforms. Those guys will never be okay with our reforms. They're bad puppies. Well, you can train bad puppies. They're just puppies. They just need an education system. A quality education system that trains the puppies. Political freedoms restricted. Here we go. Lackhaven Times. Two of the most popular and symbolic political youth organizations have just been banned by the president of Sordland. The news came out of nowhere when the administration made an official announcement blaming the instability, deaths, and violence caused in the past months on both organizations who have just been stripped of their rights to operate by the Ministry of Interior. The leaders of both organizations have made a joint statement against the decision and said that even though their beliefs are different, their right to express their political opinions shouldn't have been taken away. It is a rare sight to see two sides of the political spectrum come together as President Rain is receiving criticisms about restricting the freedom of political expression. The expectation now is that calm will return to the country, with all sides taking a step back to heal wounds. Yeah, that last paragraph is kind of important. If, you know, like, you can create new youth organizations. I haven't shut down youth organizations in their entirety. I haven't shut down political organizations in their entirety. I've shut down these symbols of hate, these symbols of violence, these symbols of assassinations and decapitations. Like, get lost, Lackhaven times. Dive off a goddamn cliff. Alright. What's next? At Hallsword, I believe we've taken a look at everything else. We have some updates to look at. Ooh. Oh, I thought I saw something up there. So what's going on with the country overview? Law. Stability Decree of 1954. Criminal political organizations have been banned effective immediately. Look at the phrasing there. Criminal political organizations. It says it right there in the wording. Red Youth banned. To restore order, the emergency decree declares the Red Youth to be an illegal criminal organization. The group is to be disbanded, and all its members will be arrested effective immediately. The Young Swords have had the same treatment as well. How dare you ban the two organizations committing the terrorism? And we have a new thing from our turn as well. There we go. Decided to indefinitely ban the Young Swords and the Red Youth. Okay, over to Hallsword for the anti-Red Youth and anti-Young Swords operation. Oh damn, operations already began. Can you truly claim to love your country while you kill, burn, and destroy? Yeah. Yeah. We should all have a right to our political opinion, assassinates a political figure. Get out of here with your backpedaling and your pretending to care about political opinions. My opinion about the Lackhaven Times has just like completely hit like bottom, like rock bottom, below rock bottom. Sordland Post hates us, Lackhaven hates us, Economist hates us, and the Radical hates us. It is not your most popular time. I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory. I'm gonna get shot, but it won't be by my driver. At least we know that. He's a hero of the people, not a hero of the elites, I suppose. Upon receiving the order, thousands of police officers conducted cease and desist operations against the Red Youth and Young Swords organizations. Our forces closed hundreds of organizational offices and affiliated businesses all around the country. Additionally, judges have given orders to block all bank accounts and to freeze all assets. Dozens of peaceful protests from the members of each organization were forcefully dispersed. Two separate shootouts, one in Jen and another in Lackhaven, have lightly wounded 5 officers who are being treated in hospitals. Ah yes, that's how much they care about the country. Most of the organizational capacity of both entities have ceased, but cleanup operations continue. All remaining elements resisting the order are now being considered as violating the law and are being arrested. Yeah, we care about the country. Start shootouts on the streets. 2 years gonna have hardcore gang members on the streets. Don't we already have organized crime going on, like around this part of the country? We had our chance to sell our souls to the papers and we refused. Yeah, pretty aggressively refused as well, didn't we? All right, finalization of the drafted constitutional changes. Oh dear, we're here already? Oh goddamn. I was expecting this to be like a much longer play. I was walking to my office, since today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the Constitution of Sordland. The Reforms Committee had finally bore tangible results, and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. At the entrance to my office, my secretary, Livia, greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. How are you today? Fine, thank you. More importantly, how are you, sir? That's not more important. I'm about to make a stressful decision, so not feeling that great. Feel better now that I've seen you, Livia? Okay, that's... See, you can definitely say that in, like, a friendly way. Like, oh, you know, my day's gotten better. Not, like, you know, I was having a crappy morning. Then I came live, I started hanging out with you guys, and my day got better. You know what I mean? Like, when I say crappy morning, I mean because it's, because I'm not a morning person. Don't, like, get worried about anything. 3, I see Amy and Saketh both being like, oh, say 3. See, now, it could also very easily be like, well, I feel better now that I've seen you, Livia. You know what I mean? Like, how you doing? Kind of a, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead with I'm perfectly fine. You can't say that and then yeah, this comes with a winky face. I feel better now that I've seen you. That's definitely supposed to be the more start of a love story. I don't know about a love story here. Yeah, Nish Nash, exactly. A new day dawns for Sordland. Soon the country can turn the page and write a new chapter of its history. The dictator's legacy is being erased and the future looks bright for the country. Okay, I was totally expecting like a twist at the end of that, but no, that was rather sweet actually. Clearly a poll is needed so we can vote for 3. No, damn it. No. I'm perfectly fine. I'm okay. She doesn't need to worry about this. I don't like how she was hired because of her looks. I mean, she was 100. I mean, the first comment we got about her was the size of her curls, if I recall correctly. Totally platonic flirting. There's no such thing when you're when you're talking to your secretary and you're the president work wife. Oh Lord, I'm perfectly fine. I'm gonna say, I'm perfectly fine. Good to hear. Okay, good. She paused before taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Rain, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. You'll find out with the rest of Sordland. Perfectly fine. Sweetheart, come on. I'll take that into consideration. Nothing's been decided yet. That's none of your business, Livia. She hasn't been, like... It is really kind of none of her business. I only say that because I don't know her well enough. We haven't really interacted with her enough to know if she's, in somebody else's pockets or if she's, got ulterior motives of her own or whatever, what have you, Just remember the hair motif. Her curls, my wife's bun. He'll reform her all over his... Oh my lord, what? She keeps asking questions. She does, doesn't she? And I get it. And I'd like to imagine we have a relatively friendly relation, like a decent work rapport. But yeah, I think I'll take that into consideration as I respect your opinion, and I will take that into consideration going in. 3 is true as well, but I'd like to make her feel, part of the party, so to speak. And we're back? Question mark? I think we're all good, folks. Try a refresh. Let me throw that in chat as well. Should be good. We back? All right, there we go. Yeah, we're back, folks. And if not, then do hit that refresh button. Again, I apologize for the technical issues. I thought I had it figured out. I thought I had it solved, but lo and behold, something's up. Now, someone left a comment in my, I think, Crusader King's stream from earlier this week that this problem is indicative of a potentially dying modem. It seems like that's been my trouble for a while, maybe. In which case, I have to speak to my internet service provider. But the way that works in Canada is absolute garbage. So hopefully we can sort that out. Again, I do apologize for the technical issues. Thank you for your patience, though. We're back, guys. Sounds good. It's a party, indeed. It is. All right. Seems like at least a handful of folks decided they didn't want to stick around, and that's perfectly acceptable. I hope you're catching up on the VOD. I apologize as well if the VOD is a little inconvenient as a result of the little hiccup there. It seems like they've been okay, but please let me know in the comments. How old is the modem? I believe it's only 2 years at this point. I believe it's only 2 years at this point. So, it's not that old. It really shouldn't be, acting like this garbage like your streams. Ayo, thank you, Seka. I love that vote of confidence. Thanks for the break, got your coffee. Luckily in Canada, we can use our own quality modem. Oh, wait, no, we can't. Yeah, okay, I was just like, Maxine, what? I was like, wait, what? Did I miss a memo somewhere? Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. We can use our own routers, yay, but nope, gotta rent them. Anyway, I'm not gonna go on that rant. Internet in Canada sucks, and they use terrible excuses to keep it sucky. Your modem started to do that too. I should get a new one, because otherwise, if my internet cacks out for a week, I can't really, literally, I can't work. And not just me. I mean, now that we've got work from home, Mr. Lee won't be able to work either. So I need to get that sorted out ASAP. Seems fine. All right, cool. thank you again for your patience. I really, truly appreciate that a lot, because I feel terrible when something like that goes down. Okay, so I'd said she wants to be part of the party. I hope you keep me informed, she says. I'll take your coat now. Olivia left to hang up my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Not long after, Peter, Lucien, and Nia arrived. Finally. Good morning, everybody. Greeting seems weird. Good morning, everybody. Sounds the most pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Yeah, I'm a little worried about how it's going to play out. Pantron, thank you. I appreciate that. Nick Wickles, thank you as well. Guys, your modem may suck, but you guys get to... Oh, great. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we'll be starting the process. Can we go over each of the points that are in discussion for the draft? I gotta, like, prepare myself. Hey, Peter's on time. What a surprise. That's a good point, actually. Well, apart from the first two sections of decreasing the Supreme Court's authority and limiting the presidential vetoes, nothing else has been agreed on unanimously. All right. So at least we know those two things have unanimous agreement. It's the Supreme Court's that's going to be the problem there, of course, but that we'll deal with when the time comes. We have at least three votes. We need 3 more. We could start talking about Section 3. This is about the impeachment process of the president. Currently, in cases of high treason and breaking the Constitution, the Supreme Court may impeach and try the president. Oh, we might want to change that to be the Assembly. I wonder if you could choose a different vice president if you make it to a second term. I imagine he stays our vice president because we're best friends. Unless he does something terrible, I don't know. Most reformists want the impeachment to be initiated by the Assembly. Yeah. They think they do not have any power over potential rogue presidents that would abuse their power. Yeah, see, that's the thing. The Assembly is much larger. There's a much, like with the Supreme Court being the ones in charge of impeachment, it means that I just need to have 6 people in my pocket to make sure it never happens. Not even 6. Well, I just need like a majority, I think a simple majority, to prevent that from ever happening. Whereas the Assembly, you can't have the entire Assembly in your pocket. Not sure if it is correct to chastise the president this much, though. The Assembly should have oversight over the president. I agree. The Assembly should have oversight over the president. My vague advice would be to go for harsher changes so you have a place to negotiate for votes later on. That's what I was thinking. You didn't lose anything, Al. It hasn't happened yet, no. There was no vote, no. I'm going to go with this, yeah. The Assembly should have oversight. This law is particularly dangerous for you in this case. We will be going against the old guard, and if we prove to be successful in the Assembly, they will be looking for anything they can declare unconstitutional to tackle you. All they need is a Supreme Court to impeach you. See, until this passes, my career will be on the line. But I'm hoping, what was it, Nia? Who was it? I think it was Nia, yeah, who had at least 2 people with her, who will probably... Well, I mean, we'll see what she says about this. It makes sense that the Supreme Court are the one to decide if the Constitution is broken or not. That's their job. But it also makes sense for the Assembly to have power of impeachment. Yeah, it's almost like it has to be both, you know. Like a bit of column A, bit of column B. Sacketh, you're on your way out. Thanks for dropping by, buddy. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day and weekend as well. I keep forgetting it's Friday because I used to not stream on Fridays. But enjoy, buddy. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you had a good time. And I hope you continue to have a good weekend as well. Okay. What if we don't succeed? The court can have me impeached for this. True. Maybe reforms are not a great idea after all. We should define a better impeachment process. We could even remove impeachment altogether. No, that'll definitely make everybody upset. It'll at least make PFJP upset for sure. Checks and balances, exactly. We should define a better impeachment process. Yes, we will be collaboratively working on the specifics. That's all. I love when, like, I particularly enjoy when I go, you know, we need to do X, Y, Z, and the game provides it as an option, you know? All right, Section 4. This is regarding the appointment of ministers. Currently, the president is free to appoint anyone from the members of the Assembly. Nobody else is involved in the process. That's pretty standard operating procedure, is it not? It's SOP. Impeach the process of impeachment. Remove impeachment, NFP will love it. Yeah, the old guard, NFP, they'd be all over it. There is definitely a demand to involve the Assembly in the process. Okay, hang on now. Aren't cabinet ministers like almost always appointed? I'm trying to like think here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's the situation in the States. I'm not 1,000% sure. I'm fairly certain, if I recall correctly. God, civics was never my strong suit in school. I'm pretty sure in Canada, the Prime Minister appoints the ministers, and then the Governor General has to like approve them. But like the Governor General never actually does anything. We'd have a bit of a situation. They are in the U.S. Yeah, they need to be confirmed by the House. Yeah. Also in India. Yeah. Prime Minister appoints. You heading out, David? Thanks for dropping by, buddy. Hope you had a good time. And again, I hope you enjoy your Friday and weekend ahead of you. Cheers. Confidence vote. Confidence vote. When you say when I think confidence vote, to me, that means that if that vote doesn't pass, there's a no confidence situation. Is that what they're going for there? Because that's scary. Yeah, in Canada, only the Prime Minister is appointed by a vote of confidence from the Assembly. All the other ministers are appointed by the Prime Minister. Yeah, appointed by the Prime Minister. I was fairly sure I remembered it correctly, but like it's been a while since I've studied up on that, and I didn't want to misinform. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Governor General has to like approve it or something. I could be wrong there, but again, like the Governor General almost never gets in the way of it's sort of more of a figurehead role kind of a thing. It's going a bit far, suggests Wickles. The cabinet needs to get confirmation by the Senate. Okay, so I guess like a confidence vote would be the closest parallel, I suppose. Thing is as well, like, I mean, we're a president, not a prime minister, is another thing to remember, I guess. Okay, then I think we can go with a confidence vote. No, I don't think Natalie's leaving. Natalie was saying have a good weekend to David. Or is Natalie leaving as well? Did I miss a message? Yeah, not Natalie? Prime Ministers appoint their own cabinet members. Governor General has nothing to do with it. Oh, okay. I must be mistaken. And I thought he had to give like a final thumbs up. Because they get pretty involved in some parts of the process at least. Gives assent to laws passed by the Senate. They also officially make announce the Prime Minister. Right? Anyway, I'm getting into a civics conversation. Okay, Natalie's still yeah. I think there was a misunderstanding in chat. I'm gonna go ahead and say we can introduce a confidence vote. I feel like that's fair. Let's see what these guys have to say. That was my suggestion as well. See, Nia, again, she's the Minister of Justice. She has the ins with the Supreme Courts. And so I would like to, if she's happy with some of these decisions, then that's good because she might be able to sway some people in the Supreme Court. Yeah, exactly. Appoints the PM based on the vote. It's entirely ceremonial. Yeah. If the Governor General ever actually, I believe technically they have the power to be like, no, this government will not form. But if that ever happened, there would be, oh my God, there would be problems. The Queen of Canada would no longer, I think, be the Queen of Canada if the Governor General actually started acting like a Governor General from back in the day, so to speak. But yeah, it's entirely ceremonial. They just basically check the boxes. It's kind of funny. I'm sure the reformists would completely support that. Okay, great. We need the reformist support. That's the primary thing. The NFP is almost definitely out the window. Like they're almost certainly not going to support us. The fifth section is about our infamous electoral threshold. Most reformists want to lower the threshold as much as possible. Mr. Richter and his PFJP definitely want to see change on this topic. They find our 10% threshold to be anti-democratic, which is something I also agree with. I do as well. Yes, but this is a delicate matter. The party, and I mean, not even Albin wants us to change the threshold. They think that this would destroy our party in the long term. Okay. Not wrong. The 10% threshold is what allowed us to control half the assembly with only a 30% majority in the elections. How anti-democratic is that, man? Yeah, 10% is really high. Damn right, Natalie. Canada has a queen, yeah. She's not just the Queen of England, she's the Queen of England, of Canada, of quite a few former colonies. Canada still has a queen, yes. People often forget she is our head of state is the queen, yeah. And our prime minister is just the head of government, not the head of state. Which is why we have a governor general, because they are the queen's representative. The queen of the Commonwealth. Not all the Commonwealth, though. Many of the Commonwealth nations have become republics, but they are still in the Commonwealth. But she is the queen of many nations. She has many titles. Many titles. That's not wrong. Yeah, see, like, just this, look at what Lucien is saying over here. 10% allowed us to have control of half the assembly with only 30% majority in the elections. Like, that's horrible. Coalition governments are not a terrible thing. Coalition governments kind of, like, force you to work with other parties, like-minded parties, to get anything done. It can slow things down, I guess. But, you know, just like this applies to us, it also applies to, let's say, the NFP. Like, what happens if they manage to get a majority with just 30% of the vote, right? It's getting confusing. What is Spindle? Oh, the titles and stuff. I see. Lowering to 3 or 5 seems fine. Yeah, like, lowering the percentage, you know, like, you need to be a serious party to have a seat. You can't just be some random dude who has a huge, like, who has a bunch of, like, Facebook friends voting for them or something, you know? The high threshold is the reason why Swordish politics has become so isolated, okay? We should definitely work to decrease the threshold for better representation. Yep, that's what I'm leaning towards as well. Do you think it would really hurt the party? Yes, it definitely would. I have no doubts about that. This is out of the question. No, it's not. I think we should definitely work to decrease the threshold for better representation. What Peter is saying is really not the point. This might be bad for your party, but it's good for the democracy. Exactly, yeah. Like, I need to... Like, what kind of a president am I? Do I care? Is it party first or is it country first? And I've always, like, through this playthrough, I've tried to be country first. And if that means some other party has to be in charge or we have to form a coalition government, so be it. But if my legacy, as I lay dead in an alleyway, shot in the head by God knows who, right? If my legacy is that I made the nation more democratic, so be it. So be it. We should definitely work to decrease the threshold for better representation. I agree. Even after Saul's resignation, we still have 3 parties in the assembly. Even Mr. Kibner's NFP is barely elected. Barely elected. I like that as an insult. Barely elected. Don't forget that the Communist Party and the Workers' Party of Bludia both had close to 10% vote in the last election. Exactly. You would be opening their way into the parliament in the future if you were to decrease the threshold. It is important that you realize this. I do realize this. They both deserve representation as well. With like 1 seat, 2 seats, they're not going to change the entire nation, but their voice deserves to be heard. Coalition governments are democratic, though. Make sure the opposition have a voice. Yeah, that's the thing. Coalition governments, again, they might slow down the decision-making, but that's because you can't make quick unilateral decisions, right? In my country, the last government was a coalition of far-right and far-left populist parties. What? How does that coalition... I don't actually want to know. Well, we try to keep modern-day politics out of chat and stuff as much as possible, but that's such an interesting coalition. Giving them a voice will calm them down. Exactly. If you only win 1 seat, you can only have such an impact, but you feel included in the process. Of course, that would also mean the USP might lose its majority in the assembly, sir. If our own democracy is the reason of our downfall, we will have to accept it. Okay, that is what I believe. Don't worry, with these reforms, we'll be even more popular. That's what I hope. We can't just give away our majority like that. Disagree. We can't allow communists to enter the assembly. Oh, what about the Workers' Party? They can come in? No, if our own democracy is the reason of our downfall, we will have to accept it. Germany is all coalitions, leads to a lot of compromise, but overall works. Yeah, I feel like Canada does not do coalition governments. We have minority governments. We don't do coalition governments, if memory serves me. But anyway, if our own democracy is the reason of our downfall, we'll have to accept it. The threshold is one of the most important amendments. I think so, yeah. I agree with you, Mr. President. Nia, do we already have a note about Nia? We do. We do. Lucien continued with the next section. I like the characters are consistent. It's so well written. It's so well done. I mean, obviously, it's what I'd expect, but it's just so well done. Section 6. This is about the presidential decrees. Reformists demand more limitations to the president's executive powers. Mr. Richter has demanded them to be completely removed. Now, we know that Mr. Richter's more ridiculous demands from time to time have been kind of like tempered by the by the committee, right? So like, it's tough though, because he does at the end of the day control the party, so to speak. I don't know if people in his own party disagree with him. We can't know that. The reformists as a whole demand limitations. Mr. Richter personally wants them completely removed. I think historically we've had coalitions in the past, but our various parties don't like each other enough to make them often. Yeah, there are some fundamental disagreements and stuff. We should have limited powers for the president and have a balance with the assembly. I've suggested to bring some limitations to decrees regarding their applicability. While we keep them, we should try to make sure that they will only be used in emergency situations. Well, that's something I can get behind. That's something I can get behind. We could also make it dependent on an enabling act from the assembly. Ah, okay. Sure, it would make the whole process longer, but as long as we have a majority, nothing really changes. Well, we have to be ready for that to not be the future. I don't think presidential decrees need any reforms. We'll work with the reformists to limit the use, or I may need to think about this a little bit longer. I say we work with the reformists to limit the use of decrees. We're not... I hope we're not going to remove them completely, but I don't mind some of these alternative suggestions they've been giving us, our ministers here. So, yeah, we'll work with the reformists to limit the use of decrees. Friends will probably demand that we remove them completely, but he forgets that Sordland is a presidential republic. Next one is Section 7, term limits. Uh-oh. I don't aim to leave anytime soon. We keep the unlimited terms. Term limits? Question mark? They want us to include previously non-existing term limits. We can't allow somebody like Sol holding onto his seat for 2 decades again. We should establish limits. Oh, even Nia is for this, eh? See, again, in Canada, we don't have term limits, but we're also, it's a prime minister. We, in the game, we're president, so I have to think a lot more along the lines of, like, okay, well, what happens in the States, for example, in terms of term limits being a thing? Presidents typically have more power than prime ministers, as we spoke about in, like, the previous session or something. Hey, if people keep electing one person, that means they really are content. The masses are scared of change. Even Sol knew he had to leave, but we will leave it to the president to decide. Aw, man. If you're a functioning democracy, you don't need term limits. I think the point the game's trying to make is that Sordland is not a functioning democracy. But, like, yeah, that's what you'd think, I guess. I've never really understood the big deal about term limits. There's nothing anti-democratic about people voting for the same person. Yeah, the president is the only one. That's what I meant, classified, sorry. I was unclear there. Yeah, I mean, term limits, I guess it depends on it depends, right? It depends on quite a few factors with regards to how can somebody retain power. Can they retain power in non-democratic ways? Does it enable you to participate in less than lawful approaches to retaining power? Do you know, like, there's a lot of... There's the power grab aspect of it, which is what term limits can help prevent, but at the same time, I also agree, it's like, I mean, if you keep voting for the same person, if you keep voting for the same party, right? Like, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from. Sol knew when to leave. Yes, he did, but it took a long time. I agree people should be able to elect the same person if they want to. That's kind of where I sit. I will take my time and seriously consider the options before settling on one. What do y'all think, chat? What do y'all think? I think it's between 2 and 3. I mean, honestly, saying that I'm considering this is not a bad idea, I guess. But I kind of want to see what conversation comes out of me saying 2. No term limits, 3. A leader that wants to grab power will do so. Only the lawful and kind-hearted ones will follow term limits. True, true, true. In the UK, there are no term limits, but it's rare for any PM to last a full 3 terms. Yeah, I mean, again, I find any nation that has a prime minister in power as the head of government, typically there's no term limits. If I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there are no term limits. But with presidents, which again, that's what we are, we're a president, typically there's term limits. Strong institutions and separation of power, but no term limits seems fair, right? I feel like let's go with 2. I see a couple 2s and 1 3. I'm gonna go with 2 here. People should be able to elect the same person if they want to. I don't know. It's very I don't know. I don't know. If you get yourself into a position of crushing the opposition by any means needed, you wouldn't give up power. So term limits. Oh man, you know, I'll take my time and consider the options. I need to think about this a bit more. Well, this isn't the decision right now. The decisions come afterwards, I'm sure. Now I'll move on to section 8, or the 8th section. We're reaching the end. It's a question about the immunity of the judges. While the anti-old guard sentiment is increasing, there are talks that taking away their immunity would give us authority over judiciary. Do not support taking away their power for yourself, Mr. President. The judiciary must be independent and long-lasting. I agree. You can't have the courts like these need to be separate powers. While I agree, that the current court members are problematic, this is no way to resolve it. The law is supposed to ensure the judiciary's independence by giving legal protection so they can't be pressured. Well, they need absolute immunity in theory, but look at what reality got us. We've got to deal with the most corrupt Chief Justice in the world, with no chance to deal with him. They should be able to be impeached. Interesting suggestion. We should crush the old guards to clear ways for further reforms. Maybe we shouldn't make the Supreme Court our enemies just yet. Oh dear. Open the courts for impeachment, says MN121MN. I mean, that's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. It means there's a process, so it keeps them in check as well, so they can't do what our Chief Justice right now is doing without fear of repercussion. Keeps them in check without completely removing their immunity. Well, actually, it does, obviously. You're either immune or you're not. It removes their immunity, but it builds a process around it. It removes the president's direct connection with dealing them a crushing blow. I agree we should crush the old guard, but I don't want to make enemies of them. I see at least one call for that from Paul there. I agree, but at the same time, they're a sizable chunk of the Supreme Court, and we need their approval to pass these reforms. Throw them off the cliff. I like it. The cliff. It's like we've all accepted there is one cliff. What about the Iron Bank? Destroy the OG. I see a couple of 3s now. I'm gonna go with 2 for now. They should be able to be impeached. I don't like the way this is phrased. Why do I get to be impeached but not them? It sounds kind of childish, but the sentiment is there. Yeah, exactly. It needs a supermajority anyway. It's not impeachment. Isn't a small deal. Exactly, says Peter. But it would be tougher to persuade the judges with this. Mrs. Edmonds may not want to cooperate with you if they believe you're going to get rid of them afterwards. And the last one is the question about Saul's legacy, basically his Member of Honor law. It gave him absolute immunity even when he's retired. He's a permanent member of the Assembly as well, but luckily he doesn't really attend anymore. According to the Constitution, the Member of Honor not only has legal immunity, but the state also covers most of their expenses as well as providing security at all times. It can only be given to someone by an absolute majority vote in the Assembly and the approval of the President. That's why only Tarkin Saul has that title. He gave it to himself right after his military coup. This law is basically made to save the Colonel and it has a symbolic importance for Sordland because of it. We must get rid of this senseless law that protects him. He should be able to face justice for the atrocities that has taken place during his rule. I agree. Seems like a pretty garbage rule. Seems like a pretty garbage rule. We should respect their immunity, says Sant, after they pass our constitution, of course. If we don't have immunity, they should also be in that position. Yeah, okay. Okay. Judge Dredd is above the law. Judge Dredd is the law. I think impeachment was a really good choice. Yeah, sounds good. Member of Honor thing is BS. I don't disagree. Tarkin Saul did ye old Latin American move, create a new constitution to protect us. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was his coup basically. I think we should I think we should abolish it. Again, I'm kind of taking Nia as every president should gain that title after their term. Wow, the exact opposite. No, that opens the door for atrocities. We could keep the title but take away the immunity clauses. That's true. Keep the symbol but remove the immunity. I'm also thinking about the amount of money that gets wasted.
security, bills, all that kind of stuff. If you get rid of the judge's immunity, then they will be more likely to be heavily involved in politics. Well, too late for that. I could try 3. Because then he'll face justice, right? And then there won't be security to pay for. There won't be a house and cars or whatever the hell else he's wasting money on. Keep the symbolism. Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep the symbol, but take out the immunity. Let's go with 3. Oh, I'm sure McLeancraft, but I'm that's the thing. It's like I'm okay with that. I'll take away his immunity. I won't have immunity either, and that's fine because does Anton Rain genuinely believe that the president should be immune or not? I might be a good guy. Saul wasn't. Others after me might not be, and most likely at least once or twice won't be. Should they be immune? Keep the title. Take away the immunity clause. Oh yeah, true, Maxime. You're right. The choices come later. Right. We keep the title, but take away the immunity clause. That would be enough to hold him accountable for his actions, but why would you want to keep such a title, Mr. President? Regardless of him, I see no problem with having a special title for great heroes. Or it's not just a title. See, it's just a title is what your boss says to you so that he can pay you according to market value of your title, right? It's just a title is a BS line. It's just a title ain't true. That's not, titles are important. No matter what somebody tells you, titles are important. They're symbolic. They mean a lot. With 3, you only get the title if you behave as president. Otherwise, you get locked up. Yeah, more or less. I agree. 3 was fair, yeah. This is a pre-meeting. I guess so, Classified. I guess so. Regardless of him, I see no problem with having a special title for great heroes. I think I'm going to go with that. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rain decides, we will need to work together to push this agenda. That's true as well. My decisions aren't necessarily the final decision. They're still going to have their committee conversation. I thank you all for your input. Oh Lord, here it is. Okay. Decision-making time. Presidential vetoes. According to Article 77 and 82, the President may veto a bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot be overridden by the Grand National Assembly under any circumstances. Okay, so I can either completely remove vetoes, or I can limit them. If I remove them, the new Constitution will not include any veto power. The President may not block any legislation passed by the Grand National Assembly of Sordland. We know how that turned out. Limit vetoes. The new Constitution will allow the Grand National Assembly to override a veto with a 3/5 majority, a supermajority. See, I think we need to go with limit. I see at least one call for removing vetoes, and I see what I was basically going to say almost word for word. Some things are so trash, you need veto power. Remember that one of the first decisions we had to make in this game. We chose not to veto a bill because that's what the reformists wanted, and that very same decision made the reformists upset at us because the bill that we chose not to veto was that 10% threshold thing. Not the threshold, but like the economic package you receive changing, right? Like, vetoes are important, especially when you have majorities in Parliament. You need to have one final check. Limiting the veto, a supermajority isn't unrealistic. Supermajorities are, we see it in the real world. It's not unrealistic. It means that, like a vast majority of people are opposed or are still standing with the bill. So I'm going to limit vetoes as opposed to remove them completely. Yeah, I think some vetoes are important. I keep saying vetoes and then vetoes, like I enunciate that T, and I never do that normally, like enunciating the T. Yeah, we're going to limit them. Because who knows when a bill is going to come through, passed by our own party, that we go, oh, this isn't good. We give the Grand National Assembly another chance to check it. All right, limit vetoes. Make sure that's checked. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh God, here it goes. Oh, there's no option here. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment may be proposed by members of the Assembly with at least 150 signatures. A 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, which is not part of the elected legislative branch, has enormous power in the amendment process. We will remove the Supreme Court's vote. A constitutional amendment will not require the vote of the Supreme Court. This will remove the judiciary's legislative powers. 100%. We need to separate... you got to separate the different parts of government. Otherwise, you get a horrible mess. Yes or yes? I guess yes. Yeah, exactly. The only other option is just like unplug my computer over here. All right. Oh, dear. The impeachment process. According to Article 17, the President of Sordland is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. Hold on. The President is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties. Oh, gotcha. Except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session, with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court, and it gives them great power over the executive. That's terrifying. When you phrase it like that, that is terrifying. Countries remain stable through evolution, not revolution. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes you need a good old-fashioned revolution. Sometimes you need a good old-fashioned revolution. I mean, depending on the era we're talking about, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and say, so the Assembly and the Supreme Court may impeach. The President may be impeached with a 2/3 majority vote in both the Grand National Assembly and the Supreme Court. Okay, the Assembly may impeach. The President may be impeached with a 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly, which is, I think, what we were first leaning towards. The President may not be impeached. Not an option. Do not change. Not an option. I think 2. I think it should be 2, because with 1, it should be 2, because with 1, at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter. Like, if the Assembly passes impeachment, but I have the Supreme Court in my pocket, then it doesn't matter, because the Supreme Court will block it. Right? The Supreme Court shouldn't be a part of this decision-making process. It should just be the Grand National Assembly. I think having both bodies is good. Make sure one body doesn't have absolute power over the president. Remember as well, though, like I was saying earlier, the Supreme Court is, what, 6 people or something? The Assembly is how many people? Like, country overview? No, political overview. So, okay, the Supreme Court is 11 people. A supreme majority is 6. Our Assembly is 250. It's easy to have 6 people in your pocket. It's easy to owe 6 favors. It's not easy to owe 170-ish favors. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, but I think if the Supreme Court can put their foot down and stop every impeachment, then that's all you need to have is a corrupt Supreme Court. No, I think 6x Lord, I think they mean both are needed. Yeah. So I think with that said, I think it has to be just the Assembly, because otherwise we're not really removing the Supreme Court from having power over the executive branch. And that goes 2 ways, right? That goes 2 ways. The Supreme Court can walk into my office and be like, listen, the Assembly wants to impeach you, but we'll block it if you do this for us, right? Yeah, Supreme Court has 11 members, but a supermajority is just 6. Shifting too much power to the Assembly. Impeachment is a big thing, though. Assembly is super corrupt by design, but if you let the judges keep immunity, they will most likely be impartial. I don't know, folks. I think there's so many people in the Assembly, and in numbers there is literal diversity of opinion, political or otherwise. I think it should just be the Assembly, because the Supreme, like I said, Supreme Court can either, it gives too much power to 11 people. Only 6 of them need to get together to make things happen or not happen. The Assembly may impeach, I'm going to say. Oh, God. According to the Constitution, the President appoints the ministers to the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. This requires no confidence vote from the Grand National Assembly. So I think we talked about this, that the confidence vote will be required. The President may nominate ministers, which will require a confidence vote from the Grand National Assembly for their appointment. The other option is that the National Assembly itself nominates the ministers, or we don't change how things have been done. I am supercharging the Assembly, I guess a little bit. Exactly, it's a hot mess of people, so there's balance there. You know what I mean? It's weird, but there's balance there. If it was either, not both, then that's even more worrisome compared to cult. I think it's both. I think it meant like there's 2 stages, but if you're correct, then it's even more scary. Yeah, we're going to go for 1 over here. We already decided this. We spoke about it at length. So confidence vote will be required. Oh, hello. Oh, okay, that's why you were saying 8 or 3, because these were the numbers that are going to be presented. I see. According to Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of the parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally, meaning USP, which currently holds the lead, would be the main beneficiary. So we can either decrease to 8 or to 3. I'm okay with 3. I'm okay to go all the way down to 3. Because again, I feel like that way we're guaranteeing support as the other party, like the Reformist Party, sees that we were willing to go as far as we could. It also diversifies, again, the voices in government. A voice for everyone. I see a few calls for 3. Let's go to 3. Let's go to 3. I see a couple for 8 to keep it safe. I don't think we have anything to be worried about. I mean, I say that, but decreasing it to 3 also opens the door for even more coalitions and stuff like that. It's risky, but it is more democratic, and that's what we're trying to do, right? Question mark. According to Article 18 and 51, the President is able to issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. Therefore, the President may issue decrees in many subjects without going through the Grand National Assembly. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subjects to override presidential decrees. I guess decrees require an enabling act. The President will not be able to issue decrees that would carry the force of law without enabling act from the Grand National Assembly, like a state of emergency or something like that. 3 means you let in extreme groups. 3% of the vote, though, is a pretty big percentage, no? Over here, remove decrees. The President will not be able to issue decrees that would carry the force of law, making the Grand National Assembly the sole lawmaking authority. That sounds like too powerful. I don't know. When they phrase it like that, well, I'll still have the veto option, and then it goes back to them for a supermajority, potentially. Ease, buddy. How's it going, man? Glad you can make it. President is executive. He should not create laws. But, like, if the Grand National Assembly enables us to create laws, do not change, I see as well. We could remove decrees. 3% is the what's life without risks option. Yeah, that's true. Always full power. This would actually ease. This would remove our power. This gives full power to the Assembly. We're the President. Isn't the National Assembly supposed to be the supreme organism of the government? I suppose. From time to time, the President might need to step in to be like, no, this needs to get done. This needs to get done now. We can't go through a voting process. Again, it depends entirely on, like, it's no one man should have all that power, I suppose. Exactly. Executive powers can be used to bypass gridlocks. This one's tough. Need them in emergencies. Yeah, I'm going to say it requires an enabling act. Typically, that's used for when there's a state of emergency, the nation's on fire, as it was last session, and the President needs to step in and be like, okay, we need to make these decisions. We don't have time. If abused, we still have impeachment. Yeah, I think we'll go with the enabling act. We'll go with the enabling act, because then that still gives the National Assembly some power. It doesn't give it entirely to us. It gives them some power, but then they basically are giving us, they're basically saying they're confident that the President is able to make these decisions in a way that benefits the nation. And I think that's fair. Oh dear. I'm nervous about this. According to the Constitution, the President shall be elected for 4 years. However, there is no mention of a term limit, allowing one individual to be able to run, be elected, and serve as President without limits. That is a big one. Yeah, Maxime. Oh, for sure. But that's the thing. We're not bypassing the Assembly, because we can't make those decisions. We can't make those quote-unquote laws without them first enabling us to. How much democracy do you want? Yes, exactly. I feel he's President for life. I feel like no change kind of makes sense. If somebody wants the same person in charge over and over again, why stop them? We have examples in the real world where term limits don't really make a difference. No limit means this playthrough goes on for longer? Nah, because we still get assassinated in our first term. 2 terms is not a lot of time. Yeah, 8 years is not, yeah. Oh, gotcha, Maxine. Yeah, for sure. No change. You know what, this is... Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. To me, this is, for some reason, this one feels like the biggest one. So, you know how we're going to decide this, folks. You know how we're going to decide this. Should we have term limits? All right, folks. Make sure you get your vote in after it says poll started. Remember, it's exclamation mark, exactly how AP did it there. Exclamation mark vote, you put a space, and then the number. 0 is 2 terms. And, sorry. Yes, 0 is we should have term limits, which means 2 terms. 1 is we do not have term limits, so do not change. Oh, this is a tight race. This is a very tight race. Holy crap, I wish I could show these numbers. It was like 3-0, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4, 5-5, 6-6, 7-7, 8-8, 9-9, 10-10 now. Holy crap. 11-10, 12-10. Oh, one is edging out. 12-11. This is ridiculous. Still at 12-11. Keep them coming, folks. Only 1 vote will get counted. Abbas, I see you voting a couple times. It'll only count it the once, so you can't spam votes. I was wondering, I see a lot of votes coming through that are not being counted. Why is that? It's because you can only vote once. We went 12-13 now. Oh dear lord. This is a very 50-50 split. Yeah, Natalie. Voting more than once doesn't do anything. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Paladins should get 2 votes. But 12-14, 12-15, oh dear. All right, this was an interesting back and forth. I'm gonna give it like another 10 or so seconds, then we'll make our call. A president without term limits is closer to a monarch. Not necessarily, because a monarch isn't necessarily loved by everybody. Isn't necessarily voted by everybody. My cat on my lap also votes for 0. Mods should get infinite number of votes. And then I have veto power. Alright, we're going to stop the vote. I think we've... wow, that was an intense race. That was intense, seeing that back and forth. I should... Oh man, I would love to have shared that. But the winning option is that no, we will not have turn limits. President party, beyond and forever, apparently. Alright, do not change. That was 16 for no, 12 for yes. So should we have term limits? The answer is no. So we will not be changing this. Let's go. Oh wow, damn. That was wild to watch. Alright, immunity of justices. The Constitution gives the justices of the Supreme Court total immunity and describes no procedure for impeachment, making them untouchable by the other branches of the government. Judges can be impeached by the Assembly. The Supreme Court justices may be proposed to be impeached on the legal grounds of unconstitutional behavior. A valid impeachment proposal will require a 2/3 majority decision of the Grand National Assembly to impeach the individual justice. This is 100% the way to go. We already talked about this. That's the way we're going over here. Look, makes them untouchable. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. No, ease, because they can use that against us. They can use that power against us. That doesn't give us power, it gives them power. Article 99 of the Constitution defines the Member of Honor title. Oh, that's so weird. They spell behave. Oh, this is interesting. They spell behavior the UK way, the British way, if you will, but they spell honor the American way. Right? Am I just like adding U's to random words now? Anyway, Article 99 of the Constitution defines the Member of Honor title, its appointment procedures, as well as the rights their members may exercise. A Member of Honor has absolute immunity and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They're given control of their own personal security team, provided by the state's presidential guards. A member is also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only person who holds that title is Tarkin Saul. Oh no, sorry, I wasn't criticizing the English itself. I was just, I just find that interesting because in Canada we actually do both. We have some words that are British spelling and some that aren't. So I was just curious about that. That's all. That's all. Yeah. No. Yeah, I just want to be clear about my statement there. I'm always like surprised by that that blend. Oh, I see, McLeancraft. All right, so abolish the honorary membership. Every president is an honorary member, or abolish immunity. I think abolish immunity is what we talked about. Yeah, keep the title, get rid of the immunity. That's what we talked about previously. I see y'all trying to swing things. We're gonna go with what we discussed previously. No, not another vote. I think we kind of discussed this at length previously. Abolish immunity of the honorary members. Let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. Oh my God, that's it? Just like that? Warning. You're about to make constitutional changes to Sordland. Are you sure about your decisions? You can't make me nervous like that, Gabe. Yeah, I guess so. Member of Honor also gives him a permanent seat. Yeah, that's kind of what made me want to abolish it, but it's just like one seat. If he gets tried, he gets thrown in jail, right? Like he's done a lot of atrocities. He gets thrown in jail, there goes his seat, there goes his house, there goes his everything, right? Keeping the party would be beneficial for the Nationalists to abstain. Oh, yeah, Natalie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They had to happen. Yeah, let's do it. Here we go. Oh, my lord. After I made the final changes for the proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the changes and discussed it amongst themselves. Lucien spoke afterwards. Looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. But I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of that idea. And that's true. It'll be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members may try to openly fight against this. We'll figure it out. I'll make sure the party follows me. I'll certainly try. Yeah, Jazzy, that's what I was expecting. I died, yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll all do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I will say that I do not agree with the new law that gives the Assembly power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. I'm also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behavior, but even if we get rid of all of them, the new judges will be less independent with this law. They'll be scared to go against the administration when it's needed. Oh man, I'm a little worried about that myself as well. They need their protection to do their job, otherwise the new ones will be pawns, just like Saul's old guards. But it's more important that we get rid of the old guards, Mrs. Morgna. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. However, he turned to me. You have to be careful, Anton. I'm sure you'll be fine, but with all that's happening out there, we'll need to prepare against these threats one way or the other. I appreciate the feedback, Peter. Yeah, I like her a lot. She's always she's always raised very good points, and like 99% of the time I've agreed with her in tone and theory and policy. This is the one thing that we kind of disagree on, so I'm a little concerned. I appreciate the feedback, Peter. Well, I think we can proceed now. We're working on the wording of the proposal with our legal experts before we propose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party, sir. You'll need to take a strong speech to get them behind you. I advise you to first talk to the leaders of both conservative and reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Mrs. Tory will be the real problem. She became the real heavyweight after we left for the executive. Any advice in regards to the speech? Because the speech might help in dealing with them. I'm going to ask for advice for the speech. Peter's just a coaster, not a professional. He kind of is a bit of a party animal, isn't he? Sir, you're pretty well versed in speeches. You know the party. Just make sure you get them hyped up about the reforms. And don't show any weakness. You must also be prepared to reconsider the proposal if it comes to that. Yo, that is not advice, man. That is so much non-advice. Thanks for the advice. Half sarcastic there. Wish you good luck with the party, sir. I wish I'd asked for advice in speaking to the other people. I think we can end the meeting here. No, I have more questions. We all shook hands, and they left the room. Oh dear. Sordland today. Richter's victory over Rain. Our sources informed us that the plan is underway by the government to start drafting the reform package. The Rain administration has reached out to the PFJP led by Friends Richter, despite his history of criticizing and opposing the USP, even calling Rain yet another pawn that was put forward as candidate during the campaign elections in 1953. It is the first time in a USP government that a president is cornered to work with his unapologetic rivals to this extent. If anything significant can come out of this collaboration is yet to be seen. If USP isn't capable of showing strength like it used to, and forced to accept the demands of their longtime rivals, perhaps it is time to realize that their time has passed. We are doubtful if President Rain can protect the wishes of the USP voters, let alone display enough political power to make meaningful changes in our country. Yeah, sounds good, Sordland today. I expected nothing less, I suppose. Lackhaven Times. Preparations underway for the annual Benfey Festival. It's that time of the year again. The largest cultural festival in the entire Sordland, Benfey Festival, has begun its preparations. This year's venue was picked to be the newly built Benfey High Arts Center with a total capacity of 8,000 people. For those who do not have tickets, can, as always, enjoy the events that span the whole city. Especially after the recent events, we can't wait for 4 days of panels, theater plays, exhibitions, and music. It'll be good to have some celebration. Well, I'm a little nervous about our changes. I'm not surprised that this was painted as our weakness rather than our wish for a beautiful future for the nation. No surprises there. The media will do what the media does. But yes, it seems like a time of celebration is going to be taking place at Benfey, out over here at the Bay of Benfey. Seems like it would be a beautiful city. One should hope. It's away from where it's cold and snowy, so I imagine some Mediterranean climes over here. That'll be nice. I imagine the highway is going to see some progress as well, and I imagine our trade deals and the tensions to the north will see some progress as well. Next time. Folks, this is where we're going to call it a session. These are supposed to be 2-hour-long streams, but as has sort of become the norm, these have been going on for 2.5 hours, just because I can't stop a conversation in the middle of a conversation. I hope y'all enjoyed today. I certainly did. This was a big session. This was a major session. How are we going to remember this session? We took no notes, but good times. I mean, yeah, I know. I guess I could add more insults in the way of toe man, but no, I think we'll remember that we reformed the Constitution, and we're definitely going to see the resulting. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, successes and not pains. But we'll see, of course. We'll see. Folks, again, and as always, if you aren't already in our Discord, make sure you join our Discord. Link is in the description down below. If you're on your way out, make sure you leave a like. It really makes a big difference in helping me sort of like make decisions with regards to what to do on the channel, what to stream, what not to stream, what to play, how much to play it. If you're watching the VOD, leave a like, leave a comment. I do read through the comments of the VODs as well. So keep those coming as well. It is super helpful for me to just make decisions. I want to say thanks again for all y'all for joining me today, whether you're joining in live or as the VOD, as the Discord link gets thrown in chat as well. Thank you very much, Ease. I will, of course, as well, not be able to end any session without giving a big old thanks to all of the channel members and patrons who have been supporting us for months on end, years on end, many of you. I appreciate it greatly. Keeps the channel alive and running smoothly. There are some new names to add from this week to this list. As always, I add names. I try to add names every weekend. And I honestly thank you all. And thank you all as well for joining in and watching, of course, whether, again, it be live or as a VOD. Without each and every one of you, this channel would not be what it is today. So thank you very much. I'm glad y'all enjoyed. I see a couple of great streams and GGWPs. What is up with me today? GG well played. What? Why am I? Something's wrong with me today. I should just go back to bed. It's fun as always. Glad to hear it. And yes, don't forget that button on your way out. Smash that like button if you aren't already a subscriber somehow. Then subscribe as well. But folks, I will catch you on Monday for our next live stream. That'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, same time as always, continuing our story with Crusader Kings 3. Then we have Tuesday, Phantom Brigade once more, and then we are back on Friday with the continued story of Sordland, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Whenever it is I catch you. Until then. I should pour some whiskey in my tea. Maybe not a bad idea. On which note, cheers.